Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Thursday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We get to test the skills at this massive triangle of a course. Welcome to Pocono. 3 unique corners that these drivers have had to pick. Do they make the setups for 1 and 2? Do they make the setups for 1 and 3? Or are they just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best as the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series gets prepared for race number 3 of the season? We're happy to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me as always on Thursday nights is Zach Hall. Zach, 2 races in the books, and Brandon Six has shown that he's the dominant driver for this season as a rookie. But tonight, we get to have some fun. Brandon Six, starting park. It is wide open here tonight on who's going to win at Pocono.
That's for sure. It's been a dominant performance from the 06 machine to start this season, and we'll get to see who can kind of claim the throne now. So definitely opened the door wide up when it comes to those points. As you, like we always talk about here at Doghouse, it's a full-length season of points. So missing a race or doing a starting park such as Brandon Six looks like, maybe from the rumors that it's going to happen, it can lose you a ton of points. It can really have a hamper on your season. I mean, look at the guy on the screen right there. It's going by down the back straightaway. That's the 12 Andrew St. Cour. I mean, he definitely got burnt by that last season by missing a race, and it ended up really taking away a lot of his opportunity to go fight his teammate Kevin Thompson. So we'll see if that has a similar effect tonight with a few drivers missing it, because there's not just Brandon Six missing, but also a few other top contenders. So this has definitely opened that door, so to say, wide open as they head to the tricky triangle and get ready to tackle this 2.5-mile beast.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a total of 5 drivers that have announced that they're going to be doing a start park. When you take a start park, you are only going to be taking the minimum amount of points. That will be 45 points that you will be taking as a driver for that race. So at least you're not getting 0, but by announcing this, it means that you will not be showing up for that race. And those 5 drivers, like we noted on Brandon Six, one of them, also joining, going to be Adam Thompson, the most recent driver to announce, with Steven and Michael Hayes both not showing up. And then another fast driver that's proven so far this season, the end of last season, Brandon Fetterplace, also going to be taking a starting park. So this race here tonight, like we said, wide open. And based off of practice so far, your top drivers, it's been Jamie Horn, it's also been Andrew St. Cour, but the one that I've got circled up, probably the 2 drivers in 3rd and 4th currently on our ticker board for practice, Shane Parrish, Kevin Thompson. They look quick, and a major thing for last season's champion, Kevin Thompson, absolutely needs 100% a good race here tonight, or his championship hopes could be disappearing.
That's for sure, Sam. Yeah, the defending champ needs to get his season rolling in the right direction. It's had glimpses, in moments of tons of speed like he showed last season, but just hasn't been able to pull off the finishes that 6 team is needed. So it's always been something that goes wrong in the races. Tonight could be his chance and opportunity to turn it around. But I'm just interested, like you were talking about, how are the setups going to be built tonight? Because 3 distinctly different corners around this racetrack, so it's very tough to have that car perfectly set up for each and every one of the bankings and sizes and different radius of corners around this giant facility here at Pocono. And you also got to have a ton of speed down the straightaway. So it's kind of balancing the act of how much grip do you want versus how much less drag do you want to put in the car. So we'll see who's found that right optimal setup and has dialed it in for Pocono.
Yeah, we kind of heard a little bit of that preview of how the straightaways are going to be utilized. Teamwork going to be a big factor here this evening, and we'll see how the drivers are going to be deciding to qualify here tonight. Pocono is a track where it can be tough to make passes late in a run, but early in a run, it can be as chaotic as any major course you could look at. And we are ready to see how the drivers will set up for qualifying. As we end practice, we enter into qualifying where these drivers will have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap, but only 2 laps to do so. And Zach, the 3 corners, 3 very distinct on the way that they run. Coming off of other courses, you've got Thompson being shown here, Indianapolis being shown, as well as the Milwaukee Mile, and the ways that those tracks have their separate bankings, the way they're utilized at this track, so unique than any other course you'll ever see out there in the world. Man, does this course sometimes bring out some of the best racing you could ever see out there.
It really does. It can bring out some great photo finishes. And what I really think it comes down to is these long straightaways. You get these big drafts, like you talked about. You can have tons of teamwork here. It's almost like a super speedway style race down the straightaways. Then you get to the corner, you gotta slow that car down and get it to that bottom of the racetrack to find the grip. So it's gonna be fun to see who can manage that well. But I think we could be in for quite the showing here, because it's gonna be hard to separate yourself. It's gonna take, I think, at least a couple laps, maybe 10 to 15, before we really start to see the tires really become an issue. And another thing that comes out all the ways at these 2.5 mile racetracks is fuel mileage. With a 70% fuel load, we'll have to see how well they can tackle this racetrack when it comes to strategy.
Tonight's race, 70 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs, 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, and like you just noted on Zach, 70% fuel load. A little bit of a shorter race than we've seen at other courses. 70 laps at Pocono can shockingly end very quickly if we stay green, but this track, massive in length. It takes almost up to a minute in time just to do 1 lap around this 2.5 mile course. Right now, most of the field on their first timed lap. We'll see how quick they can be, but some other drivers that we traditionally see wait. They cannot wait this go around, just because of how big this track is. And Kevin Thompson, one of those that's traditionally known for waiting, he's got to get giddy up and go, as we're just hitting the 3-minute mark, and some drivers are just getting their first lap in, as Tyler Millette going to be the first driver to get a time in for themselves. We'll see what speeds they can hit by themselves here tonight for qualifying, as laps 1 are starting to clock in.
That they are. Times are starting to clock in right now. And like you said, with it being such a big racetrack, you got to get a go on. You can't wait there with a 5-minute qualifying session to wait for the perfect conditions. You kind of got to go out there and make sure you get that lap in as quick as possible. So, and another cool feature here too, we have brought over with this new layout that we're running this season on the overlay. You can see the predictor on the lap there, and that's kind of predicting where the lap should be tracking at the time being. So at the moment, Jamie Horn, who did top the practice timesheets, he's right now also topping the timesheets when it comes to this qualifying session. But I imagine, Sam, we're going to see a little bit more speed here, at least from the prediction we're seeing on the screen right now.
Drivers are hoping to crank it up just a little bit more if possible. Jamie Horn, fastest driver after the first laps being placed down. Will there be any advancement forward, as Christopher Simon currently still top of the board? And with that second lap in, Horn does fall shy. A slower lap in that second go around for Horn. Unfortunate for himself, pole was not calling, but we do have other drivers to watch out for, such as Shane Parrish. What are we also going to see from Bowie here, as Brandon Bowie has been a driver that these last few weeks, not the best qualifying time, and he slams the wall off the exit of the corner. Bowie, that is a heartbreaking time. He'll start in the back once again, so we'll have to do that climb through the field. But here's Twisted Axle on their final lap for St. Cour, going to be second on the board, and Thompson going to move up to third on the board with his first lap.
They're tracking good for sure right now, and the first laps for a few drivers definitely have been that money lap, but it definitely seen the pickup from Shane Parrish along with Christopher Simon on their second lap. So we'll see if Thompson can find a little bit more speed in that race car as he comes through the tunnel turn and gets very close to that wall. That is going to be a corner that we see some people flirt with disaster all night long as he heads down to the flat Milwaukee Mile style turn 3 here off of the banking onto the straightaway. No, I don't know if he touched the
Oh,
wall there. That was so close. Sometimes you get away with it, even touching it, not to get a 0x. We'll see if the time counts. It counts, but it's slower, and I think mostly due to that slide.
a massive slide by the 6 machine, but I think he'll still be happy on the fact that he's got teammates around to work with, being up front. Few other drivers still waiting to get their final times in. That being Jeremiah Stutzman, as well as a little bit of late practice for a few others. But it looks like it's going to be Stutzman. Nicholas Schell, last driver, is going to be out there on track. See if Stutzman can maybe get a time in. It's going to be close with 7. Now make it 5 seconds. I don't think he's going to get to the line in time. It's just going to be shy as the clock hits 1 right before he crossed the line. So he'll only get 1 lap in. Stutzman will start in the back. Same for Bowie. So those are going to be 2 fast drivers to watch out for, but that will finish up qualifying as we now enter into a 5-minute warm-up period. With this warm-up period, gives any last little bit of practice time these drivers need, and as well gives us a small little preview of what we've been seeing so far this season. 2 races in, and the points have been incredibly close for everyone second on back. It really has not been something, Zach, of a challenge on when you look at driver that's ahead. That's been Brandon 6, but everyone else, when you look at the points, it has been all about seeing the likes of Eric Warman, who's technically second on our board. Those blanks are because drivers are not in the session for us here this evening. But Eric Warman, he's shown up for the first 2 races, had some good consistency. He finds himself actually second in points, and then you've got Horn, Parrish, Powell, Clooney, all looking for a little bit of extra speed here as we are going to be trying to set up for this upcoming race here tonight. But I don't think these points are updated from what's on the server. It's actually it's 6, Warman, and Michael Hayes that are actually your top 3 entering here tonight.
Yeah, the points are definitely interesting, and with, of course, Brandon 6, the points leader, not being here. We'll see how that all shakes out heading into next week and closes down the gaps and makes everybody that much closer, Sam. So it's definitely interesting to see when you got the full length, seasons like this. You got to be very consistent to start it off, or it can come back to bite you in those final few.
I also want to talk about the upcoming races that are ahead of us. We have Rockingham and Daytona, our next 2 races after tonight. Zach, until we have our next break, our first break of this season, this first about 5 races, honestly, I think is a good tone setter for a lot of these drivers. But I think everyone after the first 2 weeks understands it's all going to be Bowie Esports that you have to beat. The new rookie class that has entered in, they've already shown they're the top dogs now. Twisted Axle's the one who has to step up.
That's for sure. And that's like you're saying, it's a good benchmark to see who is going to be good this season with the first 5 tracks or so. Then they got that off week, of course, before they head back to New Hampshire. That can be that time to kind of find those gains, because like you said, so far Bowie Esports has been the top team when it comes to who's got the fastest cars there. But Twisted Axle, how strong they were last season, working their way to a championship themselves there, 1-2 in that. So we'll see if they can get their stuff figured out. And I tell you, they've been close too. It hasn't been too much of a drastic difference. It's just finding those little bits of comfort that you're going to finally need to pull off those victories and those championships, so to say. So we'll see if any other team can take that throne from Bowie Esports, but during the first 2, they've been the dominant cars.
And as we are slowly coming out of time, we got 2 minutes left before we get to these drivers gritting up for tonight's race. I want to say thank you to Shoney's for being one of the major sponsors of the Doghouse Racing Leagues and the primary title sponsor of the Doghouse Cup Series. Go on over to the West Virginia area to check out Shoney's, as they've got you covered for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you're heading in for breakfast, they've got a legendary breakfast bar. And also when leaving, don't forget to take a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Also, go check out True Patriots Apparel and Gifts. Go to www.truepatriotshop.usa.com. And when purchasing, remember to use the promo code DOGHOUSE10 on purchasing to get a 10% discount. They've got yourself covered with t-shirts and more. To see out all their designs, again, go to truepatriotshop.usa.com. Other great sponsors that are helping out this season is SSR Designs. If you're looking for schemes on your iRacing and if you want to get those schemes leveled up to the next level, check out SSR Designs on Facebook, as they would love to show your project off and also be a part of it. Other great sponsors is Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Check out Butt Kicker today, as they are one of the most well-known sponsors in iRacing. I feel like every league is a part of Butt Kicker, and it is a great product if you're getting into iRacing. If you already have a racing rig, just to be another attachment to help you out on your day-to-day racing. And the last major sponsor is NapDaddy Racing Designs. Head on over to www.napdaddyracing.com. That's Nap with a K-N-A-P-P. And go check out all the great designs that they can also help you out if you aren't able to get connected with SSR Designs. Great sponsors. You love it when they come together. And Zach, just like that, we are ready to grid up. This is going to be a fun one, I think. Pocono 70 laps. How do we stay clean and green is going to be the true question. Or is it going to be a wreck fest? Pocono is that toss-up. It's a 50-50 chance of what race you're going to see as the drivers get ready for tonight. They're going to be starting to grid up as we get ourselves prepared for our looking to be 28 drivers racing here tonight.
Going to be an interesting time for sure, Sam. I mean, like you said, Pocono always a place where you can see the mayhem happen. It's just going to be a matter about those starting.
Up front in the pole position, it's the 66 of Shane Parrish, going to be grabbing their first pole of the season. In second place is going to be seeing the 12 of Andrew St. Cours. In third, we find the last season's champion of Kevin Thompson. Christopher Simon in the 27 will start fourth, with Kevin Powell in fifth in the 93. Jamie Horn will finish out our top six. We fall down to row number 4, where we find our drivers that are in 7th and 8th position. Entering tonight, second in points, going to be finding Eric Warman in the 31 and 7th. 8th is where we find the 23 of Jonathan Smith, who's had some sneaky speed recently. Then in 9th, we find Michael Skimia back after his start park last week, and Tyler Millette finishing out our top 10.
Starting in the 11th position on the inside row, it's going to be the 24 Justin McMahon. On the outside in 12th, it's going to be the 19 of Nicholas Outwood. In 13th position in qualifying, it's going to be the 43 Eric Anderson. Alongside him in 14th, it's going to be Gary Kloon. The next row in 15th, we have Brian Dixon, with the 16th position being held by Gary Armio on the outside, with the 17th position going to Joe McKnight. 18th is going to go to Cameron King. 19th on the inside row, it's going to be Stephen Bonomo, and rounding our top 20, it's going to be Mark Dumont.
In 21st, it's the 28 of Daniel Wilkerson. In 22nd position, it's the 2 of Tony Martin, who's back after his 2 starting parks. Then in 23rd, we find the 50 of Michael Dow, and then in 24th, it's the 54 of Brandon Bowie. Jeremiah Stutzman will be all the way down in 25th position for the 22, Nick Luciel in 26th, Andrew Cork in 27th, and Michael Leftwich all the way down in 28th. A lot of drivers missing out on qualifying, either with mistakes and some forcefully putting themselves in the back. 28 drivers in total. But Zach, Pocono, such a unique track. I know from your driving perspective, you've raced this track a few times. What are the major factors that we'll be looking for these drivers this evening?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Sam. If you pull out of line, that's, I think, one thing that's going to be a really big topic. If you pull out of that outside line down the straightaway, go to someone's inside. If you do not get the pass done heading off into the next corner, you will get freight trained down the next straightaway. And what that, folks, is really due to is when you line up on that outside row, going down the back straightaway, most people tend to go out towards that wall. So most cars are located there. That means the most air is being broken up there, creating that huge drafting effect that you get down these straightaways. And you can see a car that is racing, that goes for the battle for second, goes to the inside. They could quickly be back to 6 before the next corner, just from the side draft and the amount of draft that you get on that outside groove. So we'll see who's able to work over passes well, but you got to be very smart when you go to make passes, because if you pull out at the wrong time, if you do the wrong decision, you could not only lose one position, but multiple more. So these drivers are definitely going to have to weigh their options when it comes to passing. And I think, again, we ain't going to see much separation for the first opening 15 laps till the tires start to get worn in. And with a 70% fuel load, the runs are not going to be much longer than about 26 laps. So we'll have to see who can get stuff done. It's going to have to take aggression. I think the start is where it's going to be really important.
Pocono's been ran 3 times in the past year in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, back in the 2022 Season 1, 2022 Season 2, and 2023 Season 2. These drivers, during those races, every race has had 2 cautions. Will it be during the times that we see the changing of guard of who's coming into pit road or not? Or could it be the early aggression? These drivers are set up. We're ready for racing action. Shane Parrish, Andrew Sincour are going to be your top 2. As green flag is out, they roar down into the front stretch. And here we go, the drag race, the turn 1. Will they fan out? Will they stay in line? A little bit of already 2x2. Some drivers making some big moves. No one's risking to go 3 wide just yet. They'll stay in line 2x2 into turn 1.
Nobody too aggressive yet. Like you said, they're saying to make it 3 wide down that front straightaway, but it looks like off of 2, we definitely got some drivers fanning out there on the exit and looking to move themselves forward as they've got the speed down the back straightaway from this draft. But early in the going, Shane Parrish holding on to the lead.
Nicholas Atwood could be extremely low. Got to be careful not to lose too much time for himself. But up front, still Shane Parrish trying to pull away as the field gets through turn 2. Now into the short chute, into turn 3. Quick transition from turns 2 to 3. And this long banking corner that feels like it never ends. Parrish with the better run, and lap 1 goes to the 66. Everyone else further on back. Seeing a few drivers really low, and they're 3 wide with Eric Warman down to the inside groove.
That it is Eric Warman in that 31 trying to make the maneuver on the inside of Christopher Simon and Jamie Horn, but Horn is going to clear both of those cars as Simon's going to be on that loses out. Warman's going to drop himself in 6th, but Jamie Horn up to 5th. He was fastest in practice, and after a few moments last week, he looked like he was one of the cars that was outstanding on the long run there at Nashville. We'll see if he's figured something out here tonight with the setup to get himself back in that position. Just unfortunately, the end of that race went wrong for him.
You gotta love it when we join in a series that is open setups. And Zach, this is the fun thing about this track. With fixed setups, it's kind of already handed to you. You got to make the setup just work. But when it's open setups at a track like Pocono with 3 very different corners, do you feel like there are distinct corners you're more focused on than others?
Oh, for sure. I think you really want to focus on 1 and 3. And the reason I say it, yes, it's very important to be good in the tunnel turn. But the tunnel turn leads to the shortest straightaway on this racetrack. So that gives you the least amount of time to get the pass done. This turn 1 exit, so critical for making a pass. Because if you can just get to someone's inside of the tunnel turn, you can have a worse setup car down there and still hopefully be able to clear them just with the inside being so strong. As we watch Bowie made the pass there on Michael Skimia to move himself up to 18th after messing up his qualifying lap we seen there. So he's quickly making his way forward, but also turn 3, like I was saying, very important to be good off because it leads down that longest straightaway possible in the front straightaway. And you're going to see Bowie here. He's heading off into 3. He gets a great exit here with the likes of Cameron King, Joe McKnight side by him. He's going to have a good head of steam down here.
Brandon Bowie, biggest mover right now, up 6th positions, getting by Michael Skimia, who's been the biggest, you could call, loser. Loss of positions for the 88, has already lost 10 spots. Qualified inside the top 10, almost outside of the top 20 is the 88 machine, as Brian Dixon going to put down the fastest time in the middle of the field. As seeing the charge, where do you want to place yourself? As Cameron King holds back Brandon Bowie for 1 corner, at least here, as the drivers still stay in line. A majority, this is what we're going to see for this evening. You just can't give up the draft. But up front, it is getting very close. The accordion of everyone getting on top of one another is getting very antsy as drivers are battling for 2nd place. It's going to be the teammates of Kevin Thompson and Interesting Core that we're giving each other a little bit of an issue, but get back in line. It's this grouping and a little bit of wall smack for a few drivers. I believe that was Simon that gets into the wall as the field continues to stay all on clumped up or top 6, all within a half a second of one another.
That they are. And that's what we talk about the accordion effect, is everybody clumps up and they don't want to go to the inside of the driver ahead of them because then that allows the driver behind them to have a jump to the outside. You've seen Kevin Powell in the 93 there back this week after having a great run in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago. He's looking to make some speed. He had a big wiggle there down in 1. But here we go. Thompson thought about it for a second. His teammate even thought about it for a moment. As you can see, it just stacks up right when you get to the end of that straight because the run you get on the car ahead kind of just maxes out and you get there and you got to decide if you're going to do something or you're going to back out. Then you do back out, it kind of accordions effects back behind that car itself.
Looks like St. Croix trying to back off, trying to get a better run. Maybe hoping, like we talked about, this race on the straightaways can act like a super speedway at moments. Maybe you want to see these drivers back off just a little bit. If you got a teammate ahead of you, back off, bump draft, and hopefully you can get a bigger run into the corner or an opportunity to go for a pass. But currently, Twisted Axle stay in line, and it's more of St. Croix holding back Jamie Horn than anything else.
That it is, and look at this. I'll tell you what, the Horn just makes his pass on Kevin Powell and moves him up to 4th. Is now Warman. He's going to take a shot now at the 93 at Kevin Powell down the back straightaway, but I think Powell in the 93 shouldn't be able to have the exit here to be able to have the momentum, but the 31 doing a good job to stay along the side, but now it's going to open up the door for the 27 of Christopher Simon, Justin McMahon, and it's going to allow this whole outside groove to possibly come forward.
Powell is just having a rough lap, got into the outside wall at the exit of turn 1, breaks slightly loose off of 2, and finally a clean exit at turn 3 that kind of solidifies his positioning in 5th place for the 93 Monster Machine. Seeing other drivers where they want to be running forward. Eric Warman, I mean, we talked about the fact that he had a couple of good runs last season for the 31. This is impressive on the qualifying that we're seeing from Warman, but it's a long run. Can he keep that pressure where he was lacking on it last week?
That it was, but I tell you what, there's been a move up front. Kevin Thompson has gotten past the 66 of Shane Parrish, and that moves our past champion back into the lead. And really what it was is just a little mistake from Parrish coming off the exit of 1, opened up the door for the 6 and the 12 to draft by. And when you got 2 teammates lined up like that, it can really allow them to get that big run like they did and sit the 6 of Kevin Thompson back where he wants to be out front, but he's going to have his rival and teammate of Andrew St. Croix right behind.
St. Croix right there, but Shane Powell's getting some massive bumps. The 66 just had a very awkward exit at turn number 1, it looked like before, and now he'll try to slot back in line. Jamie Horn going to be trying to go for a pass to 3rd position if possible. Shane Parrish has got to be careful at the exit of the corner. Keep your foot in the throttle. You're going to have a chance to hold this position, but it's Horn looking for some help. Kevin Powell for a moment was going to help out that 98, but gets back in line, trying to get to the outside quarter panel, and again, it's kind of those fake DP movements to the inside, to the outside, but you have to see a very big mess up from the driver in front of you if you're going to complete the pass.
That's for sure, and it's always frustrating as a driver. Like, oh, look at Warman. He's going to send it to the inside of 93, Kevin Powell there. And that's just a thing that happens a lot of times. He's always going to try to clear him, but that's going to be some contact there as Powell stays alongside. And I think Warman thought he was going to clear, but that 93 is still there on the door. That was not going to allow him to get that move done. But luckily for Warman, he gets back in line. And that's what I was about to say, is when this gets a little frustrating sometimes when you're just having to wait and really wait for the perfect opportunity, because if you try to go for a pass, even though you feel like you're quicker, it's just hard to get away from everybody. So the draft just pulls you right back in. So you got to really play those games smart, because you can quickly put yourself in a worse position.
iRacing this week is their week 13, kind of the reset and bring out some new toys to the service of iRacing. They had some small little adjustments that they put on this car, and Zach, they made a few look like damage model updates. Also, they helped out the graphics to make the metallic colors with the spec maps you can put on these machines look a little bit brighter. They also changed a few setups, so that won't be a big influence, I think, for these drivers here tonight. But I'm curious on the damage model. I know you raced yesterday when the update was sent in. Did you feel any difference really with any contact these machines can take with one another or to the wall?
Well, the little bit I went back and watched the race and just kind of studying with them, because luckily no damage for me last night, so I was kind of lucky there. Other than I did get a little bump in the rear, and I don't think I got anything. There's Armio.
Gary Armio sent to the inside wall. Yellow flag is thrown by the admins, and the 7 taking a toe to pit road. Just absolutely losing it off the exit of turn 1. And you saw the smoke billow up. And it just was a simple too much aggression on the inside. As you see here on the replay, just gets past, tries to retaliate, gets on the apron. Might have gotten a little bit of help there from Steven Bonomo. We'll leave another look to see if there was any contact, but once it hits the apron, it is completely lost for the 7 machine.
Can completely confirm what you're saying. It was a little bit of contact, but mostly that contact came from, as you can see here, is the move from Cameron King. is go off into the corner, but it's going to be the apron that really upsets that car, and that's what got the 7 loose first. Then Bonomo can't react in time, hits him in the rear end. So just a chain reaction event there with everybody kind of lunging into the corner at a certain speed. It kind of stacks up right there at the entry, and unfortunately for Armio, he catches that apron, gets a little bit loose, and there's the 9 not able to check up in time to get out from hitting him from behind.
You see from Steve Bonomo just trying their best, and I mean, there's just no way to react there with the bang bang chain reaction moves, and with that contact for the 7. That is an end of the night for Gary Armio. The 7 machine has already disconnected, and immediately, I mean, you hit that awkward angle that the wall is not flat in, and it really can rip apart these machines. And for Gary, he'll call it an evening for himself. But for the field, this comes at an awkward time. We're on lap 11 of 70. This is going to be that hard decision. Do you pit? Do you stay out? You got 3 sets in pit road to work with. And Zach, the number you were showing was looking like maybe a lap, what, 20, 27? This is going to be right on the limit of maybe turning this race into one stop from here.
That's exactly right, Sam. I know the decision these drivers are going through right now, because we had that same thing play out last night, and it's a tough situation here because I think if you're Kevin Thompson, they're going to go for the fuel strategy here. Like I was saying, the numbers I was getting, it seems around 26.9, and again, that is without draft. So you got to add a few little bit of savings in there with the draft. Also, this is running full bore, running as fast as the car can go, shifting, doing all the techniques that you can do to get the speed out of the car. So, that 26.9, it can turn into a 29 to a 30 sometimes. It's crazy to say that with it being a 2.5 mile racetrack, but you can save in this next gen sometimes upwards of 10 laps of fuel just changing how you drive the race car. So it is very, very interesting with it being in this realm right here, especially with these few caution laps. I think if it goes green from here, the one stop will be the winning strategy. The drivers that have stayed out here and played this game of, banking on another caution, if that caution doesn't come, you're still going to have to make 2 stops in this race, and that would be a huge blow because you're not making that time back up with new tires.
I mean, if they're trying to continue with trends that have happened here in the past, again, each race has had a total of 2 cautions per race. Let's see that continue on. This is just our first so far. Also, another thing to note, there are about 4 or 5 drivers that decided to just take fuel only. I think that's one thing I'm most shocked about. Majority of the drivers that pitted took 4 tires in fuel. Those that just topped off on fuel, Eric Warman, as well as Jeremiah Stutzman, Mark Dumont, Tony Martin, and Andy Cork. Just fuel only. I feel like that is a major loss for themselves on an advantage of if you take fuel and tires at this moment.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. With the amount of sets that we have, only being 3 in pit road and 4 total with what you start with the race car, I feel like you could go ahead and burn a set right there and be still in a good optimal position with 2 sets of tires left. Actually, already seeing 2. Thought for a moment we were going to see some drivers top off as Kevin Thompson faked me out there for a second. Didn't know if anybody would fully top off that race car, but they don't want to give that track position to course up. But yeah, that is an interesting call from them. It's kind of doing the half in, half out strategy. You don't want to waste a set of tires just in case we get a caution here quickly within the next 10 laps. You want to be able to, go and be able to burn burn that first set. So if you're Warman trying this strategy, it definitely is an interesting call in my book. But at the end of the day, we'll see if it works out for him. You really never know with these strategies. It's really how the cautions lie and how the race unfolds.
This is going to be a good little bit of a control factor, you could say, as we're going to be seeing these drivers 10 laps of green flag racing compared to those that just got fresh rubber. Who's got the true advantage on the tire wear, and how big of an advantage is it for those that just got fresh tires? Again, about 5 drivers in the grouping that just pit from 11th on back all took 4 tires and fuel. Your top going to be 10 drivers taking no pit stop here, so they're on old set. They are still in a 2 pit stop window for themselves, as it's going to be Jamie Horn, Kevin Powell, Tyler Millette, and others waiting for this restart. But Zach, if you're those drivers that didn't pit, what is your mentality here to get a good takeoff, knowing the rest of the field, they're in complete fuel saving mode?
I think now you just got to go full bore. Don't give up any track position. Try to keep the track position that you can. So if a caution does come out, because you're going to need one for your strategy to work. So push the daylights out of this car and just try to go as fast as you possibly can, because the other drivers are definitely going to still be tiptoeing, saving that fuel.
Well, Zach said it earlier in the broadcast. Pocono usually brings out fuel strategy runs. We've already put ourselves in a sequence that we could be seeing some fuel strategy. Green flag's out in the air. It's going to be Jamie Horn. Kevin Powell going to be your front row as we are back to green flag action. Middle of the field is going to be those drivers with fresh tires to watch out for. It's going to be Kevin Thompson as well as Andrew St. Corda, who's going to be the first two on fresh rubber. But up front, still going to be trying to hold their best positioning is Horn, Powell, and also Justin McMahon. They want to keep this track position as good as they can at this moment. But Eric Warman, who just took fuel only on that pit stop, he's got to be careful being absolutely swarmed and the first driver to be passed by everyone around him.
That's exactly right. When you're that first driver against the new set of tires behind you, it's the worst position to be in, because each driver behind you has an advantage. But Warman did a good job on that restart. He actually moved a few spots forward there and put himself in between a few guys that didn't pit. So Warman doing a great job, doing exactly what he needs to do to hold some of this track position.
Two drivers that lost big on that initial restart. Nicholas Atwood losing over 8 positions out of the exit of turn 2. A few other drivers that are on the move trying to go forward is Brandon Bowie, who is our biggest mover, and also Daniel Wilkerson, you see on screen, going to be the second biggest mover currently, as he's got all the action behind of those fresh tires, trying to figure out how to push forward. And just under that first lap, because the amount of clogging action of there not being a lot of space, he just really couldn't make any big passes, even with fresh rubber, it seems like. On top of, you're saving fuel, so you really can't prove that these tires are a great advantage.
You're exactly right, Sam. You know, this is the catch-22. Yeah, they got tires and fresh tires, but they can't go full bore. If they go out there and push the limit of those new tires, you're going to see the fuel drop away very quickly. Here's the biggest thing you're going to want to do is really, you're just going to want to start saving what you can here at the beginning, because you don't want to save too much at the beginning to give up too much time, but you also want to make sure that you don't have to be clutching later in the run. That can always ruin the balance of the race car. So you really want to implement that strategy of lifting early, rolling through the corner, and waiting just that little bit longer to get back to the gas. So we got a little bit of a battle back here with Cameron King trying to make the pass on Mark Dumont.
Mark Dumont, Cameron King, Dumont on the outside, King on the inside groove. As they goes down the long straightaway into turn number 2. King in the better positioning to set it down on that yellow line, and will be able to make that pass clearly for himself as continue to race forward. 16 laps in, and those that did not pit, they're going to be in that window to try to stretch it out to lap 30 if possible, with the caution flag that came out. Curious if they were going to be able to get to that window, as we're halfway through what this stint could be for the drivers that are inside of our top 7 currently.
That we are, Sam, and it looks like Brandon Bowie making some more moves. He's up to the top 5. Here's he's made his way around the 23 of Jonathan Smith, as the 03 of Brian Dixon looks to follow Bowie through the hole there down the back, down this longer short straightaway as they head down to tunnel turn. As Bowie doing a good job of continuing his move through the field like we've seen through much of the weeks, not getting those qualifying spots. But I tell you one thing I'm noticing too, Sam, not a lot of fall off in the tires. Right now, we're only seeing about 2/10, and some drivers even run their fast laps of the race right out front. So it just shows you again, the drivers that took those tires farther back, that, you know, they're saving fuel not only, but also the new tires, or the older tires up front, are holding on very well with this this run so far. As looks like Millette here in that 3rd position doing well, but he's going to have a new driver behind him as Bowie makes another pass around the outside to get up to 4th.
Big move after big move. Now going to be right behind this 94 machine. Tyler Millette going to be up 7 positions from where they started, as Brian Dixon once again putting down the fastest lap at 03. Loves to put down hot laps here tonight. Already scrapped a few of those fastest laps, but now looking back from the 94, you see Brandon Bowie missing out on qualifying, slamming that outside wall on both of his attempts on qualifying laps, and down the 54. Put the pressure right to that bumper, almost contacted. What a run from Brandon Bowie as he backs off in the center of the corner to get that massive launch off the exit.
Really great job. And what really happened there is Millette way deeper, missing the apex of the corner. Bowie actually gets the apex, gets the great run, and that's just grade A work through the tail turn. That's how you make passes through there. You let the driver ahead of you make the mistake, you get the better run up out the corner, and that allowed Bowie to get the job done. As now Brian Dixon looks to be following Bowie through here, possibly to try to move himself up a few more spots, but they'll have their work cut out now too, because they got Kevin Powell and Jamie Horn ahead. And you see Bowie drop low. He's trying to help Dixon with the draft, and that's what you'll see sometimes with some teammate work, but he had to pull high there because that 94 had such a run.
Was staying in line with the lack of movement. There wasn't as much drag in those tires as Millette had to resettle, but Dixon almost able to get to that outside quarter panel of the 94, and if that happened, that was a game over for keeping this position. Instead, Dixon will drop low once again, looking for the better exit off Dixon turn 3, and Dixon will drag race side by side. Bowie drops down, trying to give the assistance, but Millette, just because on the outside, able to get in the throttle so much better, keeps the momentum, keeps the position for 4th place. The rest of the field starting to get a little bit more scattered, starting to see some more pockets and packs being built out. Our top going to be 15 drivers are in line with one another besides this side-by-side action, and also a little bit of racing between Anderson and also Jonathan Smith. But then our second pack are those that already pitted from around 18th on back. Drivers that are just settling in at the moment and waiting to see how this race is going to develop for themselves.
That they are, Sam. Yeah, and, you know, a lot of these guys are just riding back here right now saying, how much fuel can I save? You know, it's sometimes you can do too much. That's one of the things when you get these fuel mileage games, you can save just that little bit too much, and you can go, man, how did I lose all this time that I have to make up later? And it can be a tough situation. But if I'm a lot of these drivers, what I'm really doing is trying to make my goal of when I pit at the end of this race, it's about 26 to 25 to go, because at that point, you know you can just full or push this race car all the way to the end. So we'll see if anybody can stretch it that far, but sometimes stretching it that far can hurt that first run so much that you lose too much time. So it's always a balancing act when you're saving that fuel. As you see up ahead, they're kind of fanning out down the back straightaway.
That's going to be Shane Parrish, Kevin Thompson, and Andrew Secord, and also Jeremiah Stutzman, all trying to utilize the draft to move forward to get by Anderson, who kind of was the one driver stuck on his own. Eric Anderson going to stay high. Now going to be given a chance to see Cameron King. It's Stutzman not able to stay attached. It will fall back. And for Jeremiah Stutzman, one of those drivers that did not take a set of tires. So he was trying to just go as fast as he could with that original set compared to those that have an 11-lap advantage. Didn't work out on staying attached. Instead, will push Cameron King right to the back bumper of Anderson into turn 1.
You can just see how much pushing works. I mean, they literally shoved the 92 with a huge head of steam down into 1 and 2, but I think Anderson will be able to hold on to that spot as King a little bit loose off the exit. As you can see, outside line, just such a better run when it comes down that back straightaways. Now Simon battling with the likes of Gary Kloon. A lot of these drivers right now about 5 seconds back from our lead position. So not giving up crazy amounts of time, but everybody here trying to do a good job of saving fuel. The one person I do worry is the person leading the pack of Kevin Thompson. It's much tougher to save that fuel, especially at a Pocono place like this, when you have these long straightaways as contact.
Cameron King, Eric Anderson, they keep it straight even with all the bumping and bruising. King got set down, used Anderson as a help, and now has to be careful of that second and larger pack behind, trying to scoot around the 92 machine. And just in a blink of an eye, we could have had our second caution of the day. And instead, we settle in for now. But Cameron King, how much wounded is the 92 after all the beating and banging he just went through?
Sure, this thing looks to actually be in a somewhat decent condition. The right front definitely a little scraped up, but no major damage. You know, we were talking about the damage ball too at one point before the action happened there at that caution. And the one thing I noticed, Sam, with this new, at least update to the model on these Cup cars, seems like the front end is a little bit more durable. And what I mean by that, not durable and it'll still get bent up and pushed in and such, but it doesn't seem to fall off as easily. It seemed like before your front bumper could come off with some very light touches, and now it seems like that front bumper will stay on for longer. It'll actually deform a little bit more before it'll fall off. So those updates have definitely affected a few things. I've even seen a few fenders fall off more often than not when you make the side contact instead of the front bumper falling off. So it seems like that damage is more directed to where the contact is and a little bit less severe when it comes to that. So we'll have to see how that affects these cars, which again, that's another thing with these cars. It doesn't seem like the damage really hurts their speed too much. It doesn't seem like you get hurt as much in the past as what you did.
Eric Warman, one of the drivers that pitted, the first driver to exit out of pit road because he took just fuel only for the 31, has been on the biggest charge of anyone that pitted. Now up to 4th place. Now going to be the leader of this second pod. It's kind of turned into about 1.2 seconds off of 3rd place ahead for Brandon Bowie, Kevin Powell, and Jamie Horde ride currently. But Zach, you were just talking before we saw that incident, the lead driver, they are in such a vulnerable state. And Warman, who's been on straight attack mode, this 31, I don't think he's in any type of mentality of saving his fuel or tires at that matter. It is go, go, go for the 31.
It's very interesting strategy. I mean, with him coming in and just getting fuel only, you figure maybe he'd be in a position to where he doesn't take off as fast. But as you see Bowie up ahead in that front group looking to make a pass on Kevin Powell now for that 2nd position. But yeah, Warman in a definite interesting spot. I mean, much better than when it comes to the drivers ahead of him on fuel. But it will be a situation that, you know, is interesting to see how much worse of a spot he'll be in than compared to others. As now it looks like Daniel Wilkerson's going to come down here on lap 25. So coming down on 25 shows me that a lot of these drivers are thinking as a caution comes out, Sam.
Caution comes out, and it's a massive collision behind. Drivers were trying to figure out who was going to pit and who wasn't, and they come careening into one another as a caution flag is thrown. In the field has to reset, refund where their placement is, but it was around Mark Dumont. Trouble for the 14 exiting off of the corner, and it was Nicholas Atwood, the innocent victim, that gets spun around.
Oh man, and the timing of this yellow could not come better for our leaders who weren't going to make it on fuel. This is about right before we saw their pit stop about to happen. As I think we've gone a little bit farther back. I think that might have been the first incident, if I'm not sure, but looks like we'll see if coming back around here to 3. If
yeah, that's the first wreck.
Yeah, this is actually the first wreck. So this won't show it here on our replay, but yeah, Dumont, like you said, was involved with that. It just seemed like that incident off of 3 just it all came to a conclusion as they're all racing side by side. It just takes one car to get loose, and like you said, Atwood was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Gonna go back a few times here with the quick reset. Here it is, off the exit of the corner, breaking loose off of 3. Now we're gonna reset back to turn 2, but it's gonna be off the exit of turn 3. Zach, just looking like the 14 broke a little loose, and unfortunately the 19 was the innocent victim that's sitting there.
That it was. You'll see Dumont here. He's gonna start to get a little bit free right there. The nose starts to point left, and like I said, Atwood there, innocent victim in it. He gets pretty much taken out, but it seems like the damage on both those race cars is heavy on both sides, especially for Dumont. Mostly right side damage just for the 19 Atwood. We'll see how well they can get that damage fixed when it comes to pit road, but again, the strategy now is wide open once again. I think you're going to see a lot of drivers who it looks like, you know, they're going to have to make a decision if they want to come down with these leaders, Sam, and get in that same strategy group as them, or do they try to keep onto the track position? I mean, this is a much longer run than our first run, so I think you're going to have to come down.
Well, you say that, but it's actually pretty close. It's only, I think, an extra lap or 2 compared to when we had that first caution. It's going to be an interesting time, but looking at the drivers all going into pit road, not a single one yet to stay out. That is a complete first 15, 16, almost 20 drivers all pitting. It's the whole field except for one, and it's Daniel Wilkerson, who at the time went into pit road to get service, and then they wrecked as he was in his box. The 28 will be gifted the lead.
That is always the best feeling, especially when you're like Pocono. It's a 2.5 mile racetrack. You know that the driver's not going to get back around to lap you before you come out. So if you can time the pit stop such as Wilkerson did there, it's a huge benefit. I think Eric Anderson's in that same boat. So those two are going to take advantage of that caution and the perfect time of the pit stop. And it looks like they'll be second or first and third, or first and second. And it looks like Brandon Bowie won the race off of pit road. As I don't know what happened to Horn there. It seems like he actually sped because he's letting everybody by.
issues for Horn. He'll be sent to the end of the line. You hate to see that. And it looked like he slid through his box on top of speeding off the exit. So was trying to find ways to redeem that miss movement for himself. Not the case, and he'll be sent to the end of the line. A few other drivers also deciding to just take 2 tires for some. I'll have to confirm that on Jeremiah Stutzman, but fuel only going to be taken for Eric Warman once again, and Joe McKnight taking fuel only. That's an interesting calls for themselves. Again, got to check up on Jeremiah Stutzman's pit stop to make sure that he only took 2, but everyone else took 4.
That it is. And I look back and look too. I think Warman, he's on 4, so he's all good. Took his first set there. So luckily for the 31 sakes, who worked his way forward, the track position now is going to be looking like he's in 5th. So it's going to be a great look for him. Jeremiah Stutzman, of course, is in 4th. He had that quicker pit stop there with the 2 tires. Kevin Powell, he's going to come out 6th. Tyler Millette, 7th. 8th is going to be Shane Parrish, our pole setter. 9th, Joe McKnight. And rounding out that top 10 is Brian Dixon. As you look back to the likes of our defending champion and Kevin Thompson, who was leading before the first pit stop of the race. He's back in here 11th, and St. Core back in 23rd, coming back to pit road, actually. So, tough break for 2 of the Twisted Axle guys who were up front at the beginning of this race.
Extremely tough for themselves as the field gets stacked up and ready for this restart. We have lost 2 drivers so far. Saw Gary Armio's first caution of the day, the 7th, calling it a night early for himself. And then right before that most recent yellow we just had, it was Michael Dowell who called it a night as he had his own troubles striking. Required damage was on a Martin Dumont as he still sits in pit road. Everyone else on the lead lap instead of our top 25. We'll see if Atwood can recover, but seeing Daniel Wilkerson, Eric Anderson, they're not in a bad spot for themselves. Jeremiah Stutzman with those 2 tire call, that's 22. I'm curious on how that's going to work out for himself. Is he going to feel slower? Is that loose sensation going to be kind of blown out of proportion now because he's feeling that? This is going to be a fun one on this restart because I got a feeling, Zach, the aggression level is about to ramp up with everyone back on the same kind of situation, fuel and tire-wise.
Totally agree. This is going to be very, very interesting. And, you know, from what I was looking at there, too, the fall-off is on the minimal side. So, I mean, we're only looking at about 8/10 of fall off that we saw during that first run. So we'll see how well the 2 tires hang on for Stutzman. It could help the balance of the race car, you know. So we'll have to see if he adjusted to it, or is that car just going to feel better that way. So we'll see on this restart.
It's Daniel Wilkerson, driver of the most starts of anyone, the veteran of this series. Going to be starting up front with Eric Anderson, who got bounced around. Both got lucked into their positioning with the timing of the yellow, but now it's time to hold back the field. Outside lane gets the better launch. It's going to be seeing Jeremiah Stutzman now side by side for second place. Everyone else, though, from 10th on back, a little bit squeezed as they enter into turn number 1.
That they are stacked up from that second position on back as Stutzman trying to make something happen around the outside of Eric Anderson. We'll see if the 2 tires can hang on. It seems well right now as Daniel Wilkerson's going to have a mirror full heading into the tunnel turn as the run is coming from the 22 down the backstretch.
A little bit of a wiggle, but it was so minimal that he was able to keep the speed and keep his foot and the throttle down in a turn number 2, the tunnel turn that's like Indianapolis. These drivers keep that heavy speed for themselves as up front, Wilkerson, Stutzman, they continue to fly. You got to keep your eye out for 3rd place. Brandon Bowie is going to be the driver that tries to tackle to take these positions in the next 3 to 4 laps. If we stay green, as Wilkerson with the run off the corner keeps the lead, leads another lap, and they're getting slightly frisky for 4th on back. Shane Parrish, he's on the move.
That is, Shane Parrish notices what he has to do. He needs to get some of that track position back and quickly do it, as right now he's looking to make the move. He gets past Eric Anderson, but he's going to have Brandon Bowie now next on the list. Can Kevin Powell, though, follow the 66 through? Let's say Powell going to get stuck on the bottom here as that outside groove with Warman pushing the 43 will push it past the 93. And then you also see the 03 of Brian Dixon jump to the outside. So it shows you, again, you can have a run to someone's inside through a corner, but if you don't get that job done in that corner, down the straightaways, you'll be losing out.
But Stutzman makes it work. Wilkerson is in trouble. Bowie now dives down below. Shane Parrish is now here. The 28 is being swarmed at this moment, and it's going to be Stutzman, Bowie, Parrish, all trying to get by the 28, and they will do so. But it's Stutzman past setting up off the exit of turn 1. That was so impressive, able to keep his foot in the throttle, and it looked so stable on the inside that kept him able to keep the run. With the dive bomb move into turn 2, he gets the lead, but Brandon Bowie started all the way in the back and now has to work his way forward. The driver, he's been tagging along. Stutzman and Bowie both missed out on qualifying and getting their time in, and they've got to see if they can hold back the pole sitter of this evening.
That they're going to see here is now Wilkerson thought for a moment to take a shot at Shane Parrish there into the corner, but Dan Wilkerson's going to wait it out. Is now the 22 loose. This opens up the door for the 54 heading into turn 3. And if these two don't get it all single filed out before it is, man, Bowie just sends it in there to make sure he clears the 22, but he's got to check up the exit here just a little bit, and that allows the 22 back to the outside, but this is now going to open up the door. Shane Parrish with a huge run to the back bumper of the 54, and this is what the 66 loves to see.
Able to work together and put your way forward. Brandon Bowie is to the lead, and we got a feeling this is going to happen at some point here tonight. When was Bowie going to get to that lead position with how fast he was climbing through the field? Finally does, with a little bit of help of Shane Parrish, but Parrish has to make all the work on his own, trying to go to the inside of Stutzman, but Stutzman utilizes the draft, and this is what kind of pick and choose. If you're that driver that has the opportunity to work with the driver in front with the draft, you're able to keep that position, but Parrish slams the wall at the exit 2.
Big hit to the outside wall there for Parrish, and that was not what he wants to see happen multiple times, but I think the right side's still hanging on pretty well. But after a few times of hitting that thing, it's going to make the damage worse. But now look at this. Kevin Thompson battling Daniel Wilkerson here off the exit of 3. He's going to have the run to the inside. But again, that outside line just fights back so strong. And look at this. Wilkerson's going to pull with the draft to clear him. And that just shows you can be quicker through the corners, but down the straightaways, you're going to need some help.
Kevin Thompson, now the fastest lap that's been placed so far. The 6th machine trying to find a way to march his way forward, currently in 7th position. Well, there's a lot of drivers. You got to work your way forward to catch up to the trio, and now you could call it a quartet because Eric Warman is here. The 31 now trying to make the showing that he's a driver to watch out for here tonight. With taking his 4 sets of tires, he's now on equal footing compared to where he was at the last time he pitted, where he didn't take tires.
That's exactly right. And I tell you what, Warman enters with a good opportunity here tonight because he could take the points lead, Sam. You know, being the second place driver in points, Brandon Six not being here, Warman has a big opportunity available to him. As right now, a lot of people fanning out, trying to find their way around positioning. But right here, you can see again, outside line, look how much speed it carries down the straightaway just being in the draft due to that. So that's a huge, huge effect you'll see from this.
Riding on board the 23 machine, Jonathan Smith looking at 45. Gary Coombs, the battle for 12th place that you're watching on screen. Multiple drivers recognizing it is go time. Use these tires early because once you hit 10 laps into this run, who knows what these tires are really going to be feeling like. And also, due to the fact of the timing of that yellow, I mean, Zach, this race is still wide open on who's going to pit where. Curious if there's anyone further on back, maybe thinking about strategy of when you want to stretch the fuel out as far as you can.
Yeah, that's for sure. You definitely have some availability to you when it comes to the strategy. You can pit a little bit earlier or you could go a little bit later because the perfect middle range is well within the fuel window. So we'll see who stretches it out, who kind of does the early stop, so to say. And sometimes the early stop here at this Pocono Raceway is one of the better places to do the early stop, just due to the factor of the fall off is just not as bad when it comes to tires. So sometimes getting out there on the fresh tires to get those faster laps in, you can hold people back when they come back around the patches. So we'll see if that's utilized a little bit, but right here, this grouping has definitely been the wildest battling so far.
7th on back is this pack being led by Eric Anderson, and also seeing the likes of the 03 of Brian Dixon early on was the pace setter of who could put down the fastest lap, but everyone's trying to figure out how do you get by the 28 of Daniel Wilkerson. Wilkerson's pace, Zach, just doesn't look like it's there. He has really been struggling through the center of the corner, but it's off the exit where he's able to still defend over Dixon and Millette.
Being smart, staying to that outside line down the straightaways is allowing Wilkerson to hold on to these positions strongly, but you see, look, into the corner, these other drivers are just diving it in there. So I think Wilkerson focusing mostly on that exit speed. And, you know, yeah, he's dropped back from the lead, but he's doing a great job right now of holding himself inside the top 10. So I think that's the goal from that 28 group is right now That 03 taking every look he possibly can with the push from Gary Clune. So these drivers just stacking his Clune a little loose. That opens up the door now is Jonathan Smith and it looks like Tyler Millette here looking to pounce.
Trying to look to pounce and just all the different battles going on course. But we're going to see a wreck. It's this cluster that is built up. All the drivers that are around 11th on back in this group as they'll go 3 wide. Jamie Horn going to go to the inside group. Millette in the middle and Smith on the outside. Will they make it through turn 1? And Jamie Horn, the driver that got sent to the end of the line with a speeding penalty, he's got so much work to try to get back up and be that factor that we saw in the first 20 laps of being a contender to win here tonight.
Yeah, Horn is definitely looking to make his way back forward. Another driver right in the mix with this is Andrew St. Croix right there on the outside of the 12th of Millette. I mean, these two definitely have had possible race-winning speed in a couple races this season so far. So we'll see if they can make their way back forward. That was a smart move there from St. Croix. He could have had the opportunity to go up the inside to make it 3 wide, but make the sides better over there on the exit of the tunnel turn. That could have ended in tears if anything went wrong there. So we'll see how these drivers work it out now. It's down the front straightaway. Everybody flirting with disaster. St. Croix there flirted with the wall.
Give you a sense on what it's like. I think we're going to try to get a crank it up whenever our producer's ready, because these drivers are on top of one another. The scrapes, the bangs, the roars, they are getting ramped up for this takeoff of who can survive the madness here tonight, as we're going to send you to a crank it up. Listen to the roars of these drivers here at Pocono for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Boy, they're getting squeezed and wrecking caution right when we come back. Gary Clune, also Tyler Millette get into one another, and caution flag is out. The reset for these drivers as we're coming up to 28 laps to go. And Zach, just like that, the group kept their eyes on. It finally bursted. The caution is out.
That it finally did there, Sam. That grouping was racing pretty wild there in the back, and we're going to see here exactly what happens. Is it looks like The 45 Clune is going to get a little tight here, but then the 94 is going to come down the racetrack, clip him in the right rear, kind of turn him across the nose, and unfortunately, Millette making that mistake kind of hurts himself as him and Clune couldn't get off one another as that brings out our yellow.
Curious if after this replay we take a look from a blimp view of this incident, because the ways that these drivers have been bouncing around off the exit of the corner, it's kind of awkward when they just find themselves snapping loose, overcorrecting just a tad. And just like that little bit of an angle with oncoming traffic with Clune and Millette will bring out the caution. But you know, if we could again see another replay of that from an aerial view, it honestly would be a chance, Zach, to kind of see the movement of these drivers, because it just is like small little minute movements that are so costly here at Pocono.
That they are, and you can see there the 94 big shove to the 98 ahead. He's setting up for the great run off the exit. Clune doesn't want that to happen. The 94, I don't know if he's going down the side draft, the 45 back, but just makes a big mistake and gets into that left or at right rear of the 45 and turns him across the nose. So yeah, it's a tough break, and I mean it's just very, very hard racing, so to say.
Expecting drivers to enter pit road to get service done. This will bring out another caution here tonight. Again, we've lost 3 drivers this evening to beat Mark Dumont, Michael Dow, Gary Armio. Not expecting anyone else to call it an evening, but a lot of drivers entering pit road. One driver, though, that will stay out is going to be Andrew St. Cours that stays out. Rest of the field going to get service done for themselves. 25 drivers on the lead lap. And for us, we're going to take our first official commercial break of the evening. I want to say thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. It's been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here for race number 3 of the 2024 Season 2. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series is presented by Shoney's. True Patriot Apparel's Gifts, SSR Designs, Butt Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. Thank you to all the major sponsors that have helped out the Doghouse Cup Series and the Doghouse Leagues in general that they have racing throughout the week. So far, it's the driver that decided to stay out. Andrew St. Clair going to be out front as he is on a 15-lap difference. Tires compared to the rest of the field, but like we've been talking about all night long, the tire difference and the tire wear fall off, not too great. So it's allowing the 12 to stay up front, still leading this race. It's all going to come down to who's got the true fuel to make it to the end of this thing. The timing of the yellow makes things a lot closer, and it should be a lot more easier to save the fuel if you're trying to save. But right now, it is coming down to our top three, but a new Hornet's Nest is starting to blossom right in the back half of the field where drivers were having issues before. It's that 15th, 16th, 17th position. Zach, this grouping, same grouping we had before that brought out our most recent yellow. They're right back in the charge at one another again.
That they are. This group cannot get away from each other, man. They have been stacked up for the majority of the races. See, Clune was involved in that last incident. He's trying to make up some track position, but it was almost contact. There is contact.
No, not again. Identical to the last time, and it's going to be Gary Clune spun around. Caution flag waves once again. And let's reset them. Let's stack them back up. And Clune gets spun around for the second time this evening. That 45 is having it rough here at Pocono.
Man, oh man, they must have put a target on his right rear tonight because people are hunting for it, man. And this one a little bit less of a turn down from the 58 here of Nicholas Schnell, but definitely not washing all the way up to the wall. As you see the 45 comes up, they're going to make contact right at this point. So to see really that initial contact, we might need that aerial view to see that. But from there, I mean, it's pretty much identical to what we saw before. The 45 spun around this time. The 58 is able to get out of it compared to the 94 who got stuck, wedged into the wall beside the 45. But I think we'll get a better view right here, Sam, on exactly what plays out. But it just seems like two cars going for the same spot on the track.
Small contact there, and then the second contact's what truly sends Clune around. Interesting note, though, like we saw there, bumper-to-bumper front action of Eric Anderson and Clune. Both drivers drive away from that incident without a required damage flag. It's actually the driver that gets put into the outside wall in that pinching motion that gets the required damage, which is going to put Nicholas in the 58 into pit road here with required damage. Kind of shocking to see. It's happened now 3 times here tonight where it's always the outside driver that gets that major damage.
It seems like, again, I think this is going to be a condition of the actual suspension and that toe link we like to call in this race car braking. So, yeah, that it seems like the car that hits the wall definitely gets kind of the worst end of it, especially when it comes to hitting the wall with the tire, itself, not really making contact with the body of the car. So, tough break there for Nicholas Schnell, and we'll have to get that fixed up. But this is, an interesting caution here, and for someone like Andrew St. Clair, this definitely puts him in a weird and awkward spot because now he's out here, of course, like we were talking about, he's on 21 laps on his stint. He's going to need to pit again in this race, while the rest of the field, if it does go green, they're not going to have to pit. So this is an interesting call, in my opinion, from Andrew St. Clair to continue to stay out here. Maybe he feels like, we'll get enough cautions here to allow him to pit again with everybody, then have the fresher tires to drive back through. But from what I'm seeing, tires are not mattering at all. I mean, he was on 22-lap old tires compared to a lot of these guys. And, they got about 7 laps on theirs, and he was holding strong, running some of his fastest laps of the race while being out front. So I think tire fall off not going to be really a much of an issue. I think he's just trying to see how he can play out this track position.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing I was kind of curious about for St. Clair here. Is it maybe a hope that we get a certain amount of laps into a run, then get that caution, and then more drivers come in, assuming tires are going to become a big thing? But this late into a run, I think everyone's going to recognize older tires are reigning right now. That track position is way more important than the actual tire wear that you're dealing with. And we'll see if St. Clair's or any other drivers on this next run, will we get a quick caution that maybe changes up the mentality of the rest of the field? But I would imagine everyone else that's behind this 12 this is your last chance to pit. You're most likely staying out for the rest of this race unless we get that late race caution that could send us into overtime, which could make all of these drivers that are still out on track into a much more trickier situation with how long a green-white checker could go.
That's for sure, Sam. Yeah, I think a lot of people have already made their bed when it comes to strategy, and they're just going to be probably staying out the rest of the race from what we've seen with how these cars are racing, so to say. But we'll have to see how it works out. So far tonight, it's been a tough one to get separated from each other, and that's why we're seeing these yellows. Such close racing, side-by-side action coming off the corners. You're going to see that yellow flag wave a few times with people just making little mistakes that, and it's really minor mistakes that lead to big consequences. So we'll see how they can shape it up. But, caution possibly is likely again with how the racing has been.
And drivers that are going to have a interesting restart for themselves. Gary Clune's going to have a black flag on this next restart, hoping to get that black flag taken off if possible for this next restart, as Gary will take the wave around to get back on the lead lap. We'll have 24 drivers on the lead lap for this next restart. Just exiting pit road is Tyler Millette, who is currently 3 laps down. As we're in the final stages of tonight's race, this is the countdown timer for these drivers of who has put themselves in the better position here late. You got a lot of the drivers that were very competitive early on in the race up front, except for one. That's Brandon Bowie, who did not qualify inside of our top 10, but being one of the top contenders up front, he is going to be the major factor with Shane Parrish. I'm curious about what Kevin Thompson has. He's had to work through traffic all race long, and Zach, he's going to be up in 4th. Jamie Horn's back up front. Eric Warman, who's been willing to show some big strength, he's in 7th. But also the driver that's kind of fallen out of this thing, Jeremiah Stutzman. Curious on how aggressive he's going to be trying to march his way up through this field.
It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, it's lining up for a possible first-time winner here at Doghouse, and we love to see that happen. So we'll see if one of those drivers can get back to victory lane, or does Kevin Thompson in the 6, our past champion, pull it off? That's the big question in my mind, because right now there's a lot of hungry drivers around him.
We're having a first-time winner this season, as Brandon 6 did not show up here tonight. It was wide open to see who will become the new leader in points. Who's going to take that charge, take the grass? Well, let's find out, as Andrew St. Cyr, who's on extremely old tires and fuel, how long does he stay out? Or will a caution save the 12 machine as green flag's out in the air and the 12 gets in line and down into turn number 1, keeps the lead position over Parrish and Bowie.
See who wants to fight to get that lead from St. Cyr, because at some point that 12 will have to hit. With the cautions we had, he's gone 24 laps now. I'm thinking saying he could probably at most go another 8 laps. So we'll get to see if he can stretch it out that far, or will he get that yellow to help him be able to come down and make that final stop. But everybody right now pushing full bore as they exit out of the tunnel turn.
Shane Parrish, Bowie, will they work as one to get by the 12 machine, or are they going to be having their own lonesome battles? It looks like for Bowie trying to get to the outside quarter panel of Parrish, not able to get there in line, which is going to give an opportunity now to Kevin Powell, who runs in 4th, to get in line, squeeze this front pack just a little bit closer to one another. All bump drafting as our top 3, nowhere to be spaced, not even a piece of paper could fit in between these bumpers, and Parrish trying to get to the inside row, sticks to that yellow line. We're going to be side by side for the lead position. Who's going to have the better bump drafting partner? They can't get close enough. It's St. Cyr still holding the lead.
That is St. Cyr fighting for everything those tires have left in them. They head to the tunnel turn. Parrish, though, trying to make the run. Powell is going to be there to help the push, but Parrish backs out of the inside, now jumps to the top side in front of Bowie, heading down into turn number 3. Who's going to have something for that 12? It's just showing the strength of that twisted axle car, being able to hold on with those fresher tires as everybody from 3rd on back stacks up off of 2 or 4.
Little bit of contact. Watch out for the drivers bouncing off of the wall. Believe it was going to be the 6 machine who gets close. McMahon ducks down, and a lot of drivers had to make evasive maneuvers there to make sure that they did not collect any unwanted damage. Jamie Horn now going to be to the inside. Justin McMahon, who we got to interview last week, he's been proud of the way that he's been trying to get faster and faster each week, get back into the mix where he used to be winning winning races. Justin McMahon actually won this inaugural race all the way back in 2022 season 1. He would love to get back into victory lane, but another top 5 finish would be spectacular for the 24, but he's got a lot of hungry drivers in front of him. Watch out as Thompson and Horn get close off the exit of the corner.
Everybody getting close, that's for sure, Sam. Is now Thompson here under threat. He was up the 4th, down back in 6 as Horn has got his way around in front of him in the 5th, but Thompson going to make the big lunge back to the inside, but it's the drivers of Justin McMahon, Jonathan Smith, Eric Warman all trying to come forward with Daniel Wilkerson, Mike Leftwich, and Brian Dixon.
Every lap that ticks away, it's another lap that Andrew St. Clair, who leads this race, is crossing his fingers and praying for a caution, because that 12 will have to hit pit road in the next 3 to 4 laps. Every time he crosses the line, it's a risk to stay out, because you do not want to run out of fuel here at this course. If you do, you are praying that you can somehow putter and you run out exiting out of turn 3. Anywhere else on this track, you might not make it back to pit road in time, but a caution now or the next lap would be optimal for St. Clair. Otherwise, this 12 is seeing this race just slip through his fingers in grass, even though he leads this race.
He has done an excellent job on the older tires. I really don't know how he's hung on so far. Everybody's been trying to get around him, but just hasn't found the golden ticket, so to say. As you see, everybody from the 7th position on forward single filed out, but this grouping here all racing still. Jonathan Smith had a great run last week trying to make his way back forward. Mormon's been one of the talks of the town here after being 2nd in the points, and everybody fans out now as it looks like Jonathan Smith is getting swarmed by Daniel Wilkerson.
Wilkerson dives all the way down. Mike Leftwich thought about squeezing through the middle and making a hole where there wasn't. Luckily backs out, and they'll be stacked side by side. Now Mike Leftwich on the outside. Really haven't talked about the 60 machine. He's had a quiet day, which means he's having a pretty good one until there. Tries to take a turn, gets a little bit into Wilkerson, pushes the 60 high, and all that great ground that you just made up for the previous lap is gone. Jeremiah Stutzman will now slot in front and make his way forward.
Great move from Stutzman, who was up at the front there not too long ago. I think made his final pit stop, so definitely stacking up, but it's also stacking up for the lead up front. Bowie making moves. Shane Parrish trying to make the move too, as St. Clair is trying to hold on. I mean, it was so stacked up, they found out almost 4 or 5 wide. Is now Horn, Thompson coming into the picture also. As you can just see, everybody is right here.
Pick a lane and hope that it's yours. It's moving forward as Andrew St. Clair is going to make a hard decision. Do you pit now or do you wait another lap and cross your fingers that you saved enough fuel as the 12 exits out of turn number 3? Each lap's going to be a question mark of does he stay out for another one? The 12 stays out for another lap, and now it's the batch to see who can move forward as Kevin Powell getting help from the 6th machine of Kevin Thompson. They're able to move forward into that 3rd, 4th position. But it's Clair, Parrish leading the charge. You have to get by Shane Parrish. That's your gimme. And Kevin Powell on the outside. Huge run for himself as he gets help from Kevin Thompson.
Big run from Kevin Powell, and this is his opportunity. He's now in the prime position if he can win this race. He's going to look to the inside of St. Clair. You're heading into the tunnel turn, and he's going to have the grip, and he's going to make the pass clear to the lead. But Shane Parrish comes through, a little body slam to the 6, and here comes the 66 through. Everybody trying to power past the 12.
Thought we were going to see Twisted Axle get into one another. Luckily, they hold steady, but it's Kevin Thompson trying to assist his teammate, and now it's backfiring. Not able to get in line and losing ground quickly. It's Thompson. He went from challenging from 3rd all the way back to 7th in just a corner and a half.
That's when everybody's stacked up. One simple misjudgment can put yourself back there. Thompson's now going to have to figure out a solution as we come by next time. It'll be just 10 laps to go. If you're Andrew St. Clair here, I think you don't have much more than about a lap or 2 more of fuel. That 12 is going to have to pull off and pit here at some point. But now Kevin Powell making the block on the 66 as Shane Parrish, as those two are getting aggressive into the tunnel turn.
Almost that wreck that St. Clair was open for. They continue to beat and bang, and it's Brandon Bowie who's trying to figure out, do I go to the outside? Do I stay following the 68? Where do I go? And instead, it's trying to make your own lane on the outside. Thought about going 3 wide. Will stay in line. Off the exit of the corner, though. We're coming up to got 10 laps to go. Sankor goes into pit road. His race is done. He needs a quick caution, and he might get it with the way that Parrish and Powell are racing against one another. Parrish wants this win badly for the rookie, but Powell also wants to get himself in the victory lane.
Powell would love to see this for himself because he's been so close so many times before, but now the run again from Shane Parrish, but the push is going to come from Bowie down the straightaway. Look at Jamie Horn. Don't forget about him. Also, Justin McMahon breaking his way up into the top 5. It is all breaking down up front.
It is take off and go for yourself here this evening. Can you find an opening? Will you be able to keep this positioning for yourself as Kevin Powell has been working and fighting to get into victory lane? He's had so many moments like we've talked about, but could tonight be the night that he gets back into victory lane that he's tried so many times to do in his career? He's only done it twice. The last time he did was last year in July when he got his last win. He wants win number 3, his career win, and first of the 2024 Season 2 season.
That would be huge for Kevin Powell for sure. He's got a lot of work still to do, though. 9 laps here is an eternity at this place, and there's going to be plenty of opportunities with this draft here to give these guys chances. We'll just have to see if the 93 can hold off, because Parrish has been very persistent about it. He has stayed with it, and he's trying to make the pass. He even got a little bit of a help from Jamie Horn there to get that pass done. Now looks to the inside here in the 3. Will he make the move? Looks like he'll think better of it this time.
Not able to get to the quarter panel, and if he was going to ship it, but both drivers get close to the outside wall, settle back in. We still got ourselves coming up to 8 laps to go, and Parrish gets the better run. They're going to be side by side. Parrish will lead that lap, but it's going to be Kevin Powell having the draft assistance. They'll stay dead even down into turn number 1. Parrish shipping it down into turn number 1. He wants this lead now, doesn't want anyone else to worry to get by, and the 66 is in position, but another 6 is waiting and looming. It's Kevin Thompson back into the mix. He's now up to 4th place.
That it is, Kevin Thompson, and he's been utilizing the outer groove. So that's giving him open, ample air when it comes to the line. And you'll see here when we go into 3, that's 6. He's had a monster run down the front straightaway due to this outer groove. So we'll see if he can hook that up once again as Shane Parrish tries to run away. He was our pole setter, so we know he's got a fast car. Let's see if he can show that breakaway speed that he's going to need here.
And off the exit of the corner, working the outside groove. Kevin Thompson, again, utilizing the draft, but it's going to be Brandon Bowie giving the push to Kevin Powell. They're trying to catch up and staying low, trying not to give any extra draft assistance. It's going to be Parrish. No one tries to snake along with them. I think that's the interesting thing to watch there. Parrish knew he didn't want to give any extra help to the 93, and it really didn't help the 93 at all, the fact that he broke the draft. Now, with a huge run off the exit of turn 1, trying to close in the distance, but they keep pretty equal. It's going to be the help for 3rd position. Bowie, Thompson, they're right on top of one other end of the corner, and a little bit too much of extra speed. Thompson to the inside, but he gets snappy loose as they fall back to 4th.
A little bit of contact to Bowie. That's about what's sitting the 6 around there now. The 6 under threat from Horn, and along with, I believe, if I think so, that's the 3. Or no, sorry, just Justin McMahon right there in the mix. So yeah, this is really getting great. Brian Dixon's right here. This is a lot of drivers who have an opportunity for a first-time win. But Shane Parrish trying to continue to break that draft as now they're snaking with him.
Top 3 do a little bit of a snake. The other group, they stay in line and almost gave away Bowie's positioning on the outside row, almost forced him to the top. Kevin Thompson, once again, outside row, trying to build up a huge run off the exit of turn 1. It works out for himself as Jeremiah Stutzman gets close, and wreck behind. It's Eric Warman involved in a late caution with 6 laps to go. This is going to be putting us in that awkward spot. Do we go to overtime, or is this an inside the regulation green-white checker we're entering?
Oh, this is going to be very, very interesting, because if it does stretch this out here, Sam, it's going to make the fuel kind of much more scary for these guys for sure. I think they'll be fine with the cautions we've had, but it's going to make things a little bit more hairy, so to say, especially with these guys only having 1. They should be good, but you never know with these situations. We look back to the replay, kind of similar to what we've seen all night off of 2. Drivers just getting into it, coming off the exit. I think the 31 was going to close the door. The 60 was there last second, and it just all came together there on the exit. So caution once again, and now this plays out an interesting strategy. You see the 31 went for the big move there. That's really what's going to get him tight, loses momentum. It's going to try to close the door, but the 60 is already there. So tough break for Warman, who came here second in points tonight. It looks like it was going to have a big opportunity to take over that points lead. It's all going to go up in shambles now for him. But Sam, I tell you what this does do. Brings Andrew St. Cour back in the mix. I mean, he's going to be 22nd, but he's got the freshest tires of the group. The only concern I do have for those fresh tires, I was looking at our leader, Shane Parrish. He was only running 2/10 slower than his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, they weren't really in a position where you're really hurting your tires. I mean, the drivers that are up front, they were in a position where they had multiple cautions to save these sets of tires. And for Parrish and as well for Powell, I mean, they had some pretty big diving moves, but not enough that you would really say that they were ruining their tires for this late run. But your up front group going to be Shane Parrish, Kevin Powell, Brandon Bowie, Kevin Thompson, Jamie Horn, with Justin McMahon 6th. 7th is Ryan Dixon, Jonathan Smith 8th. 9th is Jeremiah Stutzman. And for Stutzman, what a run. He was all the way back in 17th position on that last restart and was climbing his way forward, and now is back inside of the top 10. And for the drivers up front, do you play any games? Who actually will pit? It looks like majority of the field, they're faking it out, except for 10th on back, Stutzman pits.
Oh man, this changes everything, because now it's going to open up the door for even someone like a St. Cour to gain a lot of track position too. So a lot of drivers on some mixed decisions. This is going to give us quite the start. Again, I don't think that the tires are going to matter too much, but we know how quick some of these guys were farther back.
And also kind of a surprising driver that's still out on track. It's going to be Mike Leftwich, excuse me. I'm shocked that he's still out there on track with being involved in that wreck and not getting required damage. I think he might have lucked out there with that damage he's dealing with. As taking a look at our pit stop analyzation of how tonight's is gone for our top two. Both have been on similar strategies since lap 27. Parrish went with the gutsy call, was hoping for this race maybe to go green from that lap 11. We could have had the better strategy be up front, but instead it's been sticking with one of a lot of the drivers that didn't pit on lap 11 strategy. And Zach, I mean, it's been pretty cut and simple for most of our top runners. They've all pitted at the same time.
That they have. It's been kind of cut and dry there. I mean, other than that first caution, kind of cut things a little bit interesting for sure for a few drivers trying things out. But this is going to set quite the restart up. I mean, Shane Parrish, of course, the leader, Kevin Powell in second. Both these drivers looking for their first victory. You got in the next row, Kevin Thompson, the past champion, looking to get his defending championship season back on a roll here. Brandon Bowie, of course, beside him, who's been quite the show this season for ourselves. Jamie Horn also making the charge back up here. You got the likes of Justin McMahon. So there's so many different drivers that have an opportunity, and this is only going to make things more wild. But stacking them up like this is going to make everybody up on top of each other. The runs are going to be bigger, and we could see quite the finish here. So I don't put out a photo finish here, because this place, if you dive side by side coming off the corner, you definitely can race to the line.
Absolutely not. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone that's joined with us this evening as you are watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on your Thursday night. This is just one of 4 series that we cover throughout the week, Monday through Thursday. Next week, we're back to giving you coverage of all 4 races. As Monday night, we have the ISRC Truck Series, as they're going to be coming back from their week off to race at Dover. Tuesday, the drivers are closing in to the end of their regular season as they head to Atlanta Motor Speedway to test out their super speedway skills in the next gen cars in the Challenger Racing League. Then on Wednesday, it's the WSSR Cup Series as they have the cutoff race, the round of 11, to see who goes from 11 down to 6 to race for a championship as they head to Richmond next Wednesday night. And then next week here on Thursday, we head to Rockingham. So a couple of short track racetracks looking in front of us here. Zach, I think next week could be a fun one. No one wants to miss out on it.
That's for sure. You definitely don't want to miss out on none of that action for sure, because back to 4 days a week after one of our leagues was off for an off week. It's going to be great to see how everything works out with all the different styles of racing we got going on. So it's going to be a fun week. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button so you can be tuned in with us.
Tonight, we get ready for this restart. It is an inside the regulation green-white checker. The way these rules are going to work, if we find ourselves getting a caution on the first lap and we go green, we will be heading to overtime. But if we take the white flag, this race is official, and it's all about who crosses the line first to win the race. Shane Parrish, Kevin Powell, they were duking it out, willing to beat and bang, get to see who could be in this lead position. It's the 66 who's going to be on the charge on the outside as we are green here at Pocono. Who will become the second winner of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for Season 2 of 2024? Let's find out as they roar down into turn number 1 here, Zach.
The outside lane, such a great start. Parrish, Thompson, both clear of the inside lane. Now, McMahon, he needs the big draft, but I think he gets a little tight off of 2 as now Powell fights back, but Shane Parrish loving what he's seen in the mirror. He is pulling away.
Going to be having a 0.3 of a second lead, but once we get clear of this side-by-side between Thompson and Powell, who will run down the 66 is the true question, or will Kevin Powell get himself in trouble? A little bit of a squiggle there off the exit of turn 2. Again, we need our leader to cross the line to take the white flag for this race to become official, or will we get the caution before? Parrish wants this race to stay green. It continues to gap the rest of the field. They're wrecking behind. No caution is thrown. This race is official. We get to the white flag as they're scattering behind. It's Parrish, Thompson, and also going to be Bowie as they race to turn 1.
That they are racing to turn 1. Parrish, such a gap for him. I think he's just got to worry about hitting his marks. As right now, Powell in the driver's seat as he has got the 98 all over his back bumpers. Those two slide off the corners. Smoke coming off the exit of 2 as they all fan out down the back straightaway. Thompson and Bowie looking to hang on to 3rd, but can Powell make a charge?
As Joe McKnight, it's Clue further on back, but Shane Parrish took the lead on the restart, and McMahon's going to get tapped. They're going to be still wrecking further behind, but up front, it's Shane Parrish, the rookie that outshined and outperformed. Looked like he was going to be the threat to Brandon 6. Well, Brandon 6 didn't show up. Who was going to threaten the 66? No one. Shane Parrish, pull to victory lane. He's a winner in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series.
What a job from Shane Parrish. Once he got that lead, he controlled it, and he pulled off his first victory of the season. Congrats to him. Kevin Thompson, great rebound back to 2nd. Bowie's going to finish 3rd. Powell going to finish 4th. And Jamie Horn going to bring home 5th. So what a great top 5 we had there. And St. Cor makes it back to 6th. I didn't even see that.
St. Cor got the wrecks that were needed. Jeremiah Stutzman also got the cautions that were needed. He flies up to 7th. But all eyes were on Shane Parrish up front, gapping almost up to a 2nd in just those 2 laps. This 66 was a rocket ship when he was asked to go. And like it says on the side, he went beast mode there on those final 2 laps to take the lead and never relinquish it. Shane Parrish is now a winner in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's been the rookies, and the rookies have won the first 3 races of the season. As Shane Parrish gets to burn it down, for us, we will step away when we come back. We talk to our top 3, Shane Parrish, Kevin Thompson, and Brandon Bowie right after this.
And we are back here, everyone, for our post-race show here at the Doghouse Racing League. What an epic night here at Pocono. We had battles all throughout the field, and we got our top three up here ready to talk to us and tell all about their night. But first driver, first-time winner here at the Doghouse Racing League is we're going to talk to our race winner here tonight of Shane Parrish. Hey, Shane, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Zach, got a copy. How you doing, man? Good, finally get to be up here and talk to you guys.
Oh, yes, sir. It definitely is great to talk to you, man. Well, I'll tell you what, congrats on the victory, first off, sitting on pole, bringing home the victory. But that was definitely, not a pole to win race. That was a hard-fought victory. Take us through the battle because, man, you guys are going at it.
Yeah, trying to work with your teammates, and then when your teammates aren't around you, then you just try to pick the person you think you're going to be best to work with. I know I worked with Brandon there quite a bit through the race. Congratulate him on his third place finish. And Kevin, congrats on your second. Worked with who we thought we could work with the best there just to be able to get the position and move through. I was just trying to bide and take my time, raced hard when I had to, when people behind me were trying to, pass me. Otherwise, just really just saving the car, especially there at the end. I knew with keeping the guys that were up there and watching them drive the corner, as long as I stayed within 2-3 tenths, that they were just pushing their cars harder and they were leaning on that right rear and yawing it out too much. And I knew it was a matter of time. Tires would definitely take a toll, and they did. But this Ryko set here has just been a rocket ever since we came here this year.
It definitely has been. That's the next thing I was going to hit on for you is, through our first three races, you've been so quick and so fast. How's it feel to finally get the finish to go along with it? Because, we've seen the speed that the 66 has had each week. It's just been those finishes that have held you back kind of.
Yeah, you're going to get in wrecks and things are going to happen. It's just, it's racing. You've got all kinds of different situations. I've had a lot of internet problems lately. Supposed to have new internet hooked up today, or an addition one put in the house from my computer, but didn't work. Or tomorrow they canceled on me for another 2 weeks. Had some issues where I couldn't shift again when quality was getting low, but it stuck with me a little bit better tonight. So hopefully here in a week or two, I'll have better internet and won't have those problems. And I've made some mistakes too. So yeah, I'm 54 years old. I just feel good to be able to compete and with my grandsons kind of like up here, these guys with these, they're young and quick reflexes and got the things going on. Their eyes move better than mine do. It's just fun to race with everybody and just have a good time. Win, second place, last place. To me, it don't matter. I'm having fun.
Well, definitely you put on quite the show here tonight, Shane. Next week we're heading from a very different track from here, Pocono, to the Rockingham Speedway. How do you feel about heading into the Rock?
Well, I don't have a set yet, so I don't know how that's going to be. I'm going to have to message Ken and see if he can get us a setup, Mr. Byron over there at Ryko, see if he can't get something working for us or for me. Other than that, the Rock is a very different place. It's very hard, very bumpy, very treacherous, easy to get on the gas too hard and loop around. Yeah, I don't know. I hope to just be a top 10 contender next week. I really haven't done much on that track. So if I can get a setup, I might try to do some practicing. But all honesty, I've been working on my hot rod. I've been really pushing to get that done for a big show the end of next month. So, we want to get this big beast on the road. So I might be just not have a whole lot of time to practice.
We'll have to see how that plays out for you there next week, Shane. Congrats on the win. But before we let you get out of here, anybody wants to send a shout out to?
I just want to shout out to you guys up there. I enjoy watching it. You guys do a great job. I want to thank Daniel and everybody, the admins. I don't know a whole lot of them yet here on the league. Congratulations again to Kevin on second, Brandon on his third place finish, and Andrew there. What do you think about that? I mean, Andrew went from last place there in 4 laps, 6 laps, something like that, up to 6th place. So great drive for him. My teammate there really enjoyed watching his number poke up through the board. But want to thank everybody again. Great job. Great job to all the drivers out there. Enjoy racing with everybody.
Definitely a great race, Shane. Congrats on the win, and we will catch you next week at Rockingham.
Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. That was our race winner here tonight of Shane Parrish. What a run it was for the likes of that 66 car. It was fun to watch him battle from the front, from the middle of the field, back to the front. So we got to see him do the full drive through. But now we'll move on to our defending champion, second place man here tonight at Pocono. That's the 6 machine of Kevin Thompson. Hey, Kevin, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Well, man, good to hear your voice back up here again, Kevin. I mean, take us through your race, man, because you got to the lead there early in the going in the first 11 laps. We, of course, had that first yellow that kind of shook up the strategy, so to say. How hard was it to get back to where you got, though?
Yeah, we was at the beginning. We were just gonna ride. Me, Shane, and Andrew just gonna ride, save tires, save a little bit of gas, work together as a team. Other than that, when that first caution came in, got tires, and we noticed that if you don't run hard, you ain't gonna catch anybody and pass. So after the second caution, we came in and we just decided to run hard. And then after since that second caution, we started running hard and drove my way back up to the front. Worked with my teammates, and I hate that Andrew got caught up in that wreck, and so he had to go in and fix his damage. But other than that, had a great race. At the end there, just banging off each other and off each other's cars, and just got frustrated. But came with a second. I'll take it. Congrats to my teammate for getting his first win in Doghouse, and that's about it.
Definitely was a great race from you guys team wise. Showed a lot of speed, Kevin. You know, you kind of brought up what I was about to ask you is it didn't seem like there was much fall off from the tires all night. It seemed like you kind of had to go. There was really nothing to save because there was really nothing to gain from that. So how tough is it when you're in that position of from the drop of the green flag, pretty much you have to go full bore because there's really not that ability to show that difference later in the run?
Yeah, with the tires like they are, especially with this car and how many laps we ran today, if we was running a lot longer lap of a race, yeah, saving tire would have been the right thing to do. But just out there, just run your own laps, running like 53 eights, 53 nines, just mind your own business. And you had to use the tire to make that run out of 2 and 3. And to catch the car in front of you. If not, you're just sitting there just wasting tire and not using it.
It was definitely an interesting night of drivers deciding when to go and when not to, Kevin. But I tell you, he did a fantastic job. And, you know, next question I was going to hit you with is, how's it feel to get the first really great run of the season? Because, man, it just seems like bad luck has struck you everywhere you went so far.
Yeah, first 2 races, that was all on me. Wreck coming on pit road at Indy and Nashville. I really don't like Nashville. It's like a super speedway, but with short track turns. Not my ideal thing. But other than that, I'll take the second and just move on to the next race.
Well, Kevin, I tell you what, great job running second here tonight at Pocono. But as always, before we let you go, anybody you want to send a shout out to?
My family that watches every week, y'all putting on a great broadcast each and every week. Daniel for putting this league on. My teammates at Twisted Axle and the guys at BMP.
And there you heard it, folks, from the number driver, the driver of the 6 car, Kevin Thompson, our third place finisher. Kevin, you have a great night.
You too.
All right, folks, that was our second place man, Kevin Thompson. Now we're going to bring it on down to third place here and talk to the driver who's been one of the biggest movers week in and week out from the 24th starting position. Let's talk to Brandon Bowie. Hey, Brandon, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Yeah, Zach, I got you.
Well, man, I tell you what, another night starting near the back of the field, driving your way up through. I mean, take us through the battle because once you got up front, you kind of never left there.
Yeah, yet again, like you said, screwed the pooch on qualifying. Yet again, I don't know what it is about qualifying lately. I've not done very well, but the setup was pretty good early on. I could actually I stayed in 5th the majority of the time, trying to save a little bit of fuel as well, making passes and everything. I decided to make a slight adjustment, and thankfully I was already up front. But when I did that, it completely changed the way the car felt. So I don't know if I was on the splitter or if I was on their splitter from the rear. I don't know what exactly happened with it, but it just didn't feel right. So I knew if I was going to have a chance at winning, I was going to need Shane and Kevin to kind of run into each other or something or make a mistake. I probably had probably about a 5th place car there at the end, but I held on to 3rd, so I'll take back-to-back 3rds.
Definitely great to have back-to-back thirds. And, of course, not having your two other teammates here tonight of Brandon Six and Brandon Fetterplace. This track being such a drafting track, kind of positioning yourself. How tough was it being kind of like one of the lone drivers up there for Bowie Esports?
Yeah, it was it's pretty lonely. I did have my teammate Brian Dixon. He was helping, but unfortunately toward the end he made a mistake on pit road and had to work his way back. I mean, he did get a top 10, so we got 2 top 10s for the team. But yeah, I think the drivers kind of know that I have some speed, and they know if they push me out front, then might not be able to get back by me. So there was a lot of ganging up on little old me, but that's fine. I mean, that's what teams are meant to do, right? They're meant to work together and push each other and try to get the wins, which is what they did, tonight. So I had fun. It's pretty interesting. I wish I didn't make the adjustment I did on pit road, but all in all, still turned out a pretty good night.
Definitely a good night, Brandon. And, next week heading to Rockingham, how do you feel about that? That's definitely a wild racetrack.
They can burn that track, I'm be honest with you. I am not that good at the Rock. I mean, let me take it back. The track isn't bad. It's just this car in that track doesn't work with all the bumps and the swells and everything like that. It just makes it feel really just almost like a roller coaster, and then it's like the car doesn't want to stay in the track. And coming out of 2, that's where a lot of the wrecks will more than likely be. So it's just it's a really hard track to pass, a hard track to save tires, because definitely tires are going to be an issue. It's just not my cup of tea, but we'll go out there and try to get another top 5 out of it, and hopefully we stay out of trouble.
Well, man, I hope you stay out of trouble also. But before we let you get out of here for your third place finisher night, anybody wants to send a shout out to?
Yeah, got to thank, of course, Gremlins, Cards, and Moss for coming on board as usual. You can check them out at tinyurl.com/Gremlins Cards. If you use Bowie Esports 20, get 20% off of anything on the site. I got to thank my team, Bowie Esports, Boosted, Circle B Diecast, the family. You guys are putting on the broadcast, the league itself, and that's about it.
Well, Brandon, again, congrats on third, and we will catch you next week at Rockingham.
All right, thanks, Zach.
All right, folks, that was your third place finisher there tonight at Pocono. Brandon Bowie, what a drive for him from 24th to third position. As we close out our race interviews, I'm going to hand it back over to our lead commentator, Sam Dyer.
Shane Parrish going to be taking the win here tonight for the 66 machine. And Zach, got to say, that excitement that we were hearing from Shane in that interview was a little bit contagious, just to hear the fact that he's happy with the run that he had here tonight. As we take a look at our unofficial results here this evening, it was going to be the 66 of Shane Parrish taking the win. Kevin Thompson almost able to get back in that win column, but he'll fall into second place. Brandon Bowie coming up with a third place run after starting so far back and being our biggest mover of the night. Kevin Powell gave a huge run to Shane Parrish, but losing out on the grip late, had to fall back to fourth position. Jamie Horn going to fall into fifth, with Andrew St. Cor and Jeremiah Stutzman 6th and 7th. What a recovery run for the both of them. It was a charge back into the top 10. Then you had Brian Dixon in 8th. 9th was Nicholas Atwood, which Nicholas Atwood also with a great recovery run. And finishing out our top 10 is the 28 of Daniel Wilkerson.
Definitely some great runs for guys in the top 10 as well. For the guys outside the top 10, Bonomo able to get himself an 11th place finish. We also saw Eric Warman have quite the night of up and downs. He's going to bring home in 15th after being involved in a lace race incident. Also, Justin McMahon back in 19th was having such a good run up there in the top 5 late in the going, and just got a bad bump from a driver that sends him back near outside the top 20. Now we look at the final list of drivers. Definitely some drivers who had some tough nights. Tyler Millette, of course, involved in the incident. Cameron King, along with that. Michael Dumont. All those drivers going to finish 24th, 25th, and 26th, respectively. As tonight here at Pocono, it was a wild one, Sam, where we got to see a lot of beating and banging and a lot of stacked up racing where these drivers could not get off each other.
Yeah, and strategy calls really had to change throughout the night. With the timings of the yellows, it turned this race into a one stop at a moment, to a two stop, to a can we even stop at this moment, to oh no, we forgot to stop, in so many different calls. But ultimately, it came down to beast mode. Shane Parrish taking the win. What a night to be covering here. That's just the third race of the season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We send ourselves to Rockingham next week for Thursday, but before then, we've also got other great races that we'll see as we're back with ISRC on Monday night for the Truck Series, Tuesday with a Challenger Next Gen Cup Series, and then more playoff drama going to be mounting up on a Wednesday as the WSSR get ready for their cutoff race at Richmond next Wednesday. A lot of great racing action, but Zach, before we call it an end, what are any of your final thoughts on this evening?
Well, like you said, the excitement from Shane Parrish, to definitely highlight that. That was an awesome interview from him, just to hear, he just loves racing, and I can't be a bigger fan of that guy now than from that interview and getting his first win. So that's great to see him. Great job for him. Also, quite the rebound from Andrew St. Clair. I got to give him a huge shout out for getting back all the way to the sixth. There was definitely some amazing rebounds from a few drivers, but another great week here at Doghouse. And I tell you, I can't wait for Rockingham. We heard Bowie talk about how he was not the biggest fan of that racetrack. I can agree with him. This car is a handful here. It does not handle very well, but I think it's going to put on quite the show with how difficult it really is. So next week's going to be quite the treasure, everybody. Make sure you tune in.
Do not want to miss it. 150 laps at the Rock next week. But for tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, from chatting to just viewing, and all those supporting the drivers that are out there on track. If you haven't already, remember to hit that like button if you're enjoying the broadcast that we give you coverage of, and as well hit that subscribe button to be subscribed, and also the bell notification to be notified when we go live again 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday. We're giving you great racing coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But for this evening, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, and for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else from Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Thursday evening. Cannot wait for next week. The Rock going to be the next challenge for race number 4 of the season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. If you can't wait until then, don't worry. We've got racing coverage, like we said, Monday through Thursday, but it's going to be the ISRC Truck Series heading to Dover for our Monday night coverage. Can't wait for it. That will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.